Hello everyone, welcome to this review of the Thanos quarter scale statue from XM Studios. This is my third statue from XM Studios, and in the beginning I actually wasn't planning on getting this piece. I always loved him because I saw pictures from conventions, and when I started seeing pictures from other collectors receiving this statue, I just got more and more tempted because there's just something about this statue that I really like. And I think it simply boils down to the pose and the expression of this statue. As I said, this is my third statue from XM Studios. I have the Wolverine also, and the Phoenix, Jean Grey Phoenix, as you can see in the background over there to the right. I still have yet to do a review of her, by the way. I'm gonna do that next, I think. But I wanted to do Thanos now because I just got him and I'm still really stoked about that. And I just wanted to get this review done and share this with you guys. Now this is a really big statue. He's not taller than my Phoenix actually, but in terms of his physicality and everything, he's just really huge. He's almost the same size as my Hulk premium format that I got a couple of months ago, I think. So he's a really huge statue, and he's still quarter scale and all that, so it's really an impressive statue, this one. He comes with a whole range of display options, in the sense that he has these different arms that can be attached to the statue. He has 3 different heads like they usually offer XM Studios, and yeah, and he also comes with these cosmic cubes here. There's one on the base and there's one here, and there's 2 because they can be used in different display options. Yeah, but for this review I'm gonna stick with this pose here, with his right arm down the side, his left arm raised in a fist, and with this head on here where he's looking really evil, kind of, or angry, because this is basically my favorite pose for this statue, and this is the pose that won me over and convinced me that I needed to get this statue. And overall, I'm really excited and happy that I decided to do this, even though I had to pay the rather high aftermarket price for this because I wasn't able to lock this down, or I didn't jump at the opportunity to lock this piece down during the pre-order phase. So I'm one of those unfortunate souls that had to pay aftermarket price for this, but that only goes to show how much I really like this piece. Anyways, I'm gonna zoom in and show you the top area, the head and the shoulders and all that, and just gonna discuss the details and the paint application and all that. I'm gonna do that for the entire statue, including the base. So sit back and relax, and I hope you'll enjoy this review. Okay, so here we go. Now I have the Frowning Head on, which is the head that I prefer for this statue, because I just really like the expression of it and how it fits the character. I feel it's the perfect head for him. But I am going to show you the other 2 heads, so let me just switch out to the second one. I'm gonna start with this one, which is basically the same head. The only difference is that you don't have the helmet on. But I do like what it does for this character, because what it does is that it makes him look a bit more evil, kind of. I don't really know why that is, but he looks a bit more rough somehow, and physical, and he looks really nice, I think. And this is a good time to talk about the paint applications as well. I find the paint applications to be very nice. The purple color of his head here is nicely applied because you have highlights and shadows going on, and the eyes, the teeth are really nicely detailed. The teeth are nicely separated and you have some nice glare to them, and the eyes look deep and dark, and it looks really nice, I think. So I think that XM did a great job with the paint application, and also just the sculpt here is just perfect. You have some really nice details, and I love the way that they made this comic book character actually look a bit authentic and realistic. I know that his proportions in terms of his body are out there, but he is an alien, so do keep that in mind. But I just love the rough and evil looking character that we have here. Now I'm gonna switch out to the third head now, which changes the character quite a bit actually. As you can see, he's smiling here instead. He has this grin on. He looks really evil actually, so I still think that this is a very fitting head for this character because he does look like a villain here. And the paint applications again are equally as good. The teeth and everything are just very nicely done. The helmet he's wearing is made out of a light plastic material. So I suppose they added the helmet onto the sculpt at a later point, and they just made these bald heads instead. The paint application on the helmet is really nice, I think. You have this gold and you have this blue, and that's basically the two colors that make up for most of this statue, because his costume is actually rather simple. Now I'm gonna touch on one of the complaints that some collectors have had on this statue, and that relates to the black lines that you can also see on the front here. Now some collectors believe that the paint application in terms of these black lines is poorly added. And I can see what they mean. If you get really up and close to this statue, you can see how it's in some places it's a bit thick, the black line, and other places it's a bit thin. So it's varying a bit depending on where you're looking. And I can see how this can be conceived as being sluggish or poorly applied. But honestly, I think it's just such a small thing and minute thing. You can't tell this from looking at this statue from a normal viewing distance. You really have to get up close before you can even start noticing this. So in my opinion, and that's just me, this is completely a non-issue. I don't see this as a real issue at all. And I think it looks very good still. Now I'm gonna switch the head out and get my favorite head back on. It's really simple. It just fits in with a magnet and a slot, and it's just like on many other statues. When it comes to the gold parts, you have this shading going on in all the crevices and the corners, so there are actually some nuances and some depth to this gold bit here, and you basically see this on all parts of the gold. Maybe except from the hands that are a bit more flat when it comes to the gold paint, but you can't see that now. You will see that later. But overall, I think it looks really convincing, and I just love the way that this piece looks. As you can see here with his broad shoulders, his really broad posture and everything, and his expression here, I just love it. I know you can see the Infinity Gauntlet, but it's probably a bit out of focus, but I am going to show you some photos anyways. And when it comes to all the display options, by the way, I'm not going to switch out many bits for this review here. Instead, I'm just going to show you some photos, because it's actually quite difficult to switch out the arms, for example. They are kind of, you kind of have to disassemble the whole piece and then reassemble him. And I'm not going to bother you with that, so I'm just going to show you some photos instead. Anyways guys, let's move on. Let's have a look at the body and discuss the sculpt and the paint applications here. So give me 2 seconds. Okay, so here we have his body, and it's pretty simple. You have two main colors going on. You have the blue one and you have the gold one. And this resembles how Thanos looks in the comics. But it's pretty simple and there's not really much going on. What I do love about this here is the sculpt, or the body and the pose of Thanos. I really find that to be one of the main selling points for me, at least. So that's the most important thing to highlight, I think. He looks really physical, he looks really imposing and threatening, and I just really love this for this character. Now, if we have to discuss the colors, as I said, they're pretty simple. You have blue and gold, and they're separated by this black thin line that I mentioned earlier. If you look at his gauntlet here, it's also gold, but in this case, at least this right gauntlet here, there's not really much shading going on, if there's even any shading going on at all. I don't know if this is some kind of mistake or what it is, but it looks really simple, this right gauntlet at least. If I do compare it to one of his other hands, like this one, there's actually more shading going on with this switch out hand than there is on the one that I've got on him right now. And that leads me to believe that there must be some kind of error or mistake going on here, because it looks like it's simply been dipped into a bucket of gold paint and then pulled out again. But that's actually the only gold part where I notice this, because on all the other gold parts that we have here, there are shading going on, so they look much more detailed and deep. I'm gonna do a 360 now so you can see what he looks like from the back as well. I hope this is sharp. And as you can see, he's just really wide. His very broad nature body here really makes him look like an enormous guy, I think. You also have shading going on all the blue areas, but it's not as obvious. They simply make the muscle definition stand out and some of the details to the cloth or fabric areas, which is of course sculpted. But overall, I think it looks really nice, apart from this particular glove here, or gauntlet here, not having much of a shade to it, or shading to it. If we look at his left hand, where he's wearing the Infinity Gauntlet, let me just check how well you can see this. Yeah, you can kind of see it, but I'm gonna throw in a picture anyways. It looks really nice, and there's a bit more shading going on here, also with the switch out pieces. This is one of them, where you have an open hand instead, where he can actually be holding a cosmic cube. But the Infinity Gems here look really nice, I think. Some collectors have experienced that these gems have come off by accident, and I don't know if it's a matter of the glue just being bad or whatever that might be. It's not anything that I've experienced myself, so it's difficult for me to comment on it as a genuine common error or problem with this statue, because that's not how I see it. I think only a minority of the owners of this statue has experienced this, so I can't really say that it is a common issue. But if you have experienced this, of course it's a very big frustration. It's never nice when you have to do repairs or fix something yourself on a statue that you bought for massive amount of money. But I wouldn't say that it is a common issue. Another thing that I've heard from a bit more from collectors is that they've experienced that the magnets that are holding his arms onto the body, particularly I think the left one, is kind of weak, and then they experience a gap between the arm and the body. And I do believe this is the area that they mean. I'm not really sure if, maybe there's a slight gap here on the right side here, but I wouldn't say that this is a big problem for me. And I'm not sure if mine is, if it's more or if it's less on mine, because I've only seen a few pictures, and sometimes, when people share pictures, you're not always sure where you have to look in order to get the meaning of what they are trying to show you. And that's the case here. One thing that they could maybe have done a better job with XM is how the lining between some of the limbs here, like underneath the fabric part here that touches onto the leg here, there's kind of a joint where the paint is kind of a bit sluggish maybe. It kind of shows that this is just one big piece. So on these edges here between this part and this part, it kind of feels like it's just coming together as one piece, and you can tell from the paint application. So that's maybe a minor thing that I should add. Again, it's not really anything that I find to be a frustration or anything. It's just a very minor thing, and I'm only mentioning it because I think I need to kind of be very objective and mention everything that comes to my mind when I talk about this piece. But overall, I'm extremely happy with this pose here. I'm gonna zoom out so you can better see just a bit more there. I just really love the way that he's standing here. It's very static kind of, but it's very imposing and it's threatening, and it fits this character very well, and he looks like a real villain, I think. So that's definitely one of the selling points. I'm gonna move on now and talk about the boots and the base, so just give me 2 seconds. Okay, now you can see the boots and the base, and again, as I was touching upon in my previous clip, you can see the joint here between the boot and the leg here, and it's pretty obvious that we are having a full sculpt here where there's no separation really between these two parts here. And that is one of the things that could have been done better. It's like there's a slight paint overlap, and that was kind of what I was trying to say before. There's a slight paint overlap, so you have some gold from the boot actually going up vertically onto the leg, and that makes it seem less authentic and convincing. But again, it's a very small thing, and in the grand scheme of this statue, you kind of don't notice this really, because he's just so impressive overall. And I just added one of the cosmic cubes to the bottom here because, well, they are there and I'd like to use them somehow. There's actually two of them. One of them has a slight indenture here, which makes it sit snugly onto one of the hands. Yeah, so that's why there's this indenture here. They are kind of nice, and they have this 3D effect with some kind of smoke-like thingy going on inside the cube here. It looks really nice actually. They did a nice job with these. I bet every of these are unique, so that's a nice little thing. But yeah, I think the boots look nice. You have way more shading going on here compared to that right glove I was talking about before. On the front part here you have a brown shiny surface or texture finish going on, and it's the same on the other boot. The base is big and it's quite heavy. It's not solid or anything. You have some nice details, some skull and some kind of decoration going on here. There's nice shading, there's nice detail, and the surface feels pretty nice. But I have to say that the base is maybe one of the things that disappoint me a bit about this statue. Could have been better, could have looked more convincing, and it's pretty plain and pretty boring, I think, when it comes to this statue here. The paint is decent, but there's not really much to talk about, and it's pretty simple. So if I had to pick one thing that I think is not as good with this statue, it's definitely going to be the base. They could have done a better job here. Even the skulls here on the side, the paint is okay, but they haven't really spent a lot of time on doing that, it seems, both from a sculpting point of view but also from a paint point of view. So the base, kind of maybe a letdown, but I knew this from the moment I saw it on pictures and everything. So again, despite these concerns, I still felt that I had to get this statue because he still looks very, very impressive. Right, that's basically what I had to say about the base, I think, because it's pretty simple, so there's not really much else to say. The foot here is the one that has a socket and a peg. It sits okay onto the base, and I don't know if you've noticed, but I saw my unboxing video and maybe also earlier in this video, when I touch the statue, it may seem like it's a bit wobbly, and it might also be, but it still feels very secure and everything, and some of the wobbliness, so to speak, comes from my statue here standing on top of this turntable here. So it's being a bit more exaggerated when it's standing like it is here. It still feels very secure and it feels very solid. I think that's it, guys. I'm gonna move on and do a wrap up of my review now. I hope you enjoyed it so far. Just give me 2 seconds. Alright guys, I think that basically covers everything I had to say about this statue both good and bad. I try to be objective about it, but sometimes it's difficult for me because I usually tend to spend a lot of time researching a piece before I decide to get it. So often when I finally get a piece, it's because I really like it. And would I say that this piece is worth the high price that it is priced at today, at least on the aftermarket? That's really difficult to say, because it's about how much you love the character and how much you love the statue here. Personally, I just fell for it. Even though the base is a bit of a lackluster, I still had to get this statue because it's just one big, huge, intimidating villain from the Marvel Universe here. And I just love the pose. It just feels massive and very physical. You get a lot of statue for the money somehow still, even though it's very highly priced. And I don't know if the price will be even higher in a month from now from this recording, or if it will drop a bit. But I wasn't willing to bet on anything, so I just decided to jump for it and go and get it while I had the opportunity. Do keep in mind that this character of Thanos here, he is going to be in the future Avengers movie even more than we've seen him yet, because he's going to be the main villain of those movies. So I have a kind of suspicion that this character is going to get a whole lot of attention in the coming time. Who knows, maybe even Sideshow will do a maquette or something of this character here. But I had no interest in waiting for that to happen, because what I see here and what I have here is the perfect pose and look for the Thanos character, the villain that I wanted in my collection. So I'm very pleased, and even though this may have actually been one of my most expensive statue purchases ever, even though I have quite a lot of grail pieces, so to speak, in my collection, this is actually going to be one of the most expensive ones that I've ever purchased. And again, it only goes to show how much I really appreciate this statue from XM Studios, and how well I think that they designed the character. Maybe not the base, but at least the statue on its own. And with all these other display options and with the whole experience of purchasing and unboxing this piece, it's really just fantastic, I think. So, but I wouldn't say that he comes cheap. So if you want to get this, you just really need to be able to pay the money. And I feel bad about convincing people to buy this, because I know it's expensive and it's going to make a dent in your budget, maybe not only influencing your statue purchases, but also influencing you other real life money issues or circumstances. So, but that's up to you guys. I don't really know anything about that, so I'll just leave it at that for now. Personally, I'm still very pleased that I got him. So yeah, I feel really lucky, and I love having him in my collection and in my display. I'm probably going to display him next to my Phoenix statue. I'm gonna make a photo of that later, so you can see how I decided to display him. Alright guys, I think that basically covers everything now. I hope you enjoyed watching this review. If you have any questions, go ahead and post them below. And of course, please like and subscribe to my videos. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll see you in my next review. I think my next review will be of Jean Grey Phoenix, also from XM Studios, because I've been postponing that for a little too long now, and it's about time that I got that done. I think that'll come in a few days' time. Alright guys, thanks a lot for watching, and do take care. See you in my next one.